What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
So, the first 2 episodes of the Trasholyte came out, and I watched the Chris Gore review of it. I'm not a huge fan of Chris's, but he does do a good job explaining why the show sucks. So, go and check out Film Threat and the discussion on his channel, Film Threat channel, and also go check. If you're on X, follow Film Threat there because they had a show on X. And the rumor was, and this is before I found out what it was, what I thought, that it's not a rumor, that a legacy character gets basically wiped out in episode 3. And it's Anakin Skywalker. So what you're looking at is Leslie Headland, the cunt that she is, trying to undo George's, the lore that he created, the universe he created, and undo what the Force is. And the fact of the matter is, the bad guy on this isn't bad, and that good and evil don't really exist. So I'm going to spoil episode 3 right now. We go to an idyllic place, this planet, and these 2 little girls are sitting under a tree using the Force to play with birds. And they run in, one of their mothers shows up and basically says, don't leave the camp, blah, 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 the village or whatever it is. So they go back and Jedi appear. And they basically, tell these women who are lesbian witches, wait till you hear about this one, that you have Force-sensitive children and we're Jedi and we're here to take them to Coruscant and train them. Chris didn't get into the yays or nays about this, but suffice it to say that one girl really wants to be a Jedi and says, I want to be a Jedi. Can I be a Jedi? It's like, it sounds to me like they actually took some symptoms of a child suffering from fetal alcohol syndrome. I'm not kidding. So you find out that the twin girls were immaculately conceived. One witch created them, and the other one carried them. Again, wiping out the chosen one. Okay. Leslie Headland can sit there and make all the excuses that she wants, but this was an intentional destruction of the prequels and Anakin Skywalker's role as the chosen one to bring balance to the Force. And how the Force is explained by these 2 dykes, or by the one dyke, is some people believe that it's a force that controls everything in the universe, but it really is a thread. And if you pull the thread, and push it. You can control it, and that, one, by yourself you're strong, by two are stronger, and many you're stronger. You're stronger still. I don't know if George has seen it, but his comments again from the Cannes Film Festival about how they got the Force wrong. There you go. So assume that George Lucas has seen Episode 3. So what's wrong with this? First off, again, I'm going to point out the lack of diversity. Where are the white men? Where are the white women, actually? Okay. Indara, I guess, Carrie Ann Moss, who dies, like she's the first one to die. And, all right, so, people have been saying, Latino Slant, Pauly hates it. He said it's horrendous. Mazra said it was a fucking bore. And other people have said it's terrible. Okay, Chris Gore says basically it undermines everything in Star Wars, and that was, in my opinion, intentional. And what it does, because Leslie Headland is such a misandrous pig, it takes away Anakin Skywalker's role as the chosen one, intentionally taking it away from a man and giving it to an angry black woman, which, why should we be surprised? So this show is going to go nowhere. Okay, they want to have a second season, and when you look at the comments, if you go to the Star Wars page on Facebook, a lot of people like it. But if you go to the Instagram account, people are trashing it. If you go to the X accounts, people are trashing it. Okay, so I don't know if that's anecdotal evidence of where the show is going to be, but if it undermines everything George created intentionally because white man bad and he is a misogynist or some fucking thing that, that cunt Leslie Headland said about him, I have to say that it's going to fail, all right? Anakin Skywalker, look, Leslie Headland is so fucking stupid she couldn't even pick up Darth Plagueis, the book, and read it. Plagueis and, to a large extent, Palpatine together were messing around with the Force, using Sith alchemy to create life. All right. The Force pushed back with Anakin Skywalker. Okay, that's how it's done. And as far as the Force being female and threads, that's really some Swiss cheese stupidity going on as far as Headland goes, because she doesn't, look, the fact that Kennedy liked it just proves to me she doesn't know a thing about Star Wars. Okay, she doesn't. And the fact that she would say to you, we need more women in Star Wars, I would say back, we already have women in Star Wars. Again, it's not the numbers, it's the quality. Anakin Skywalker is what the stories were building up to, okay? And what Headland did is, again, blowing up the Bamyan Buddhas in Afghanistan. But let's talk about this more.
This is what we understand to be Star Wars, the idea that that only came from George Lucas, that only George Lucas holds the key for what we understand to be Star Wars is just untrue. And I think the prequels are an excellent example of that. The idea that when you're hiring a director, that everyone is sitting in there waiting for George Lucas and not for the person who's going to know to hire Ralph McQuarrie, that's the problem. That's the misogyny and the problem with the auteur myth as it stands today, because they're not thinking this is the person that will hire the right people and this is the person that will be able to create the lookbooks and direct people to get them to that place. They're just thinking, do you have all the answers? And the truth is that nobody does, and anybody that says they do feels sometimes well, I like this thing and I don't like that thing, and if you don't like the acolyte, that's fine. It doesn't matter. The reality is that Star Wars in and of itself is not just a vast universe full of many different characters, many different eras, but it is always, always, always about the spiritual journey of what it is to become who you are. And that's why I am so overwhelmed and grateful to be here, and beyond overwhelmed and grateful to be allowed as a filmmaker to experience what it is like to actually tactilely make something in this world. That is beyond my wildest dreams, and I can't wait to show you guys more. I wish I could.
The Force. Nobody understood the Force. Nobody, what they do is, and then they started other ones when I sold the company, and they, a lot of those ideas that were in there sort of got lost. But that's the way it is.
I think there was an assumption being made for quite a while that girls didn't care about Star Wars, or that girls weren't identifying with characters like Luke Skywalker or Han Solo. They were only identifying with...
No, stop. Not one more crooked word. Your tongue could open a wine bottle.
Agent, it's not like she worships the devil.
Well, she doesn't have to. He worships her. Get out.
Here all night.
Get out!
When Leslie Headland said this, it should have been a wake-up call for people, because she's invoking some pretty bad heresies and being proud of them. She's obviously an anti-Catholic bigot, and she's insulting the church, and in doing so, also insulting George Lucas. But again, if you look at the first video in the spot where I put the videos, you will see that she hates George Lucas. And she obviously hated the prequels because she mentions them. She's also one of the stupidest human beings I have ever come across in my life. And I haven't met her yet. But if I ever do meet her, I'm going to let her have it. And, she goes and invokes the name Martin Luther, who was a scumbag, with this piece of shit, Ruin Johnson. So she's basically applauding the desecration of Luke Skywalker, Leia, and indirectly Han Solo. They didn't matter. But again, nihilists do that. Nihilists do that. When you watch these shows, you realize they aren't well done. They're amateurish. I mean, that's what somebody said about The Acolyte. It's trash. And the fact of the matter is, like the guy that she invoked here, they forget she doesn't even know the lore, first of all. The lore didn't start with Luke picking up Anakin's lightsaber. It started 25,000 years before that on Tython, okay? And you go 25,000 years of wars, Sith lords showing up, etc. And, Darth Vitiate, Valkorion, the Eternal Emperor, Darth Bane, Revan, etc. All of these things, the Jedi winning, the Sith winning, the Jedi, blah, 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 all the way up. It's like the Old Testament and what Catholics call salvation history happening to the point where Bane goes into hiding. The rule of two is created. And the Sith go into wait mode until they can destroy the Jedi. If you read the book Darth Plagueis, you will see that Plagueis kills his master, as they're supposed to, Darth Tenebrous, and he goes and he finds Palpatine, and they start meddling with Sith alchemy, which is kind of like when Christopher Lee warned people not to mess with the occult. That's what they were doing, okay? And the Force pushed back, as when you read and you look at the stories that came before Sidious and Plagueis, and created Anakin. This was always going to happen. The one who brings balance to the Force. So having May, A, have a twin sister undermines Luke and Leia. B, it undermines having May be immaculately conceived by a dyke, which undermines the Force creating Anakin. The way the Force is described is not anything close to what George would say was correct. He says that in that piece, that interview on the stage at the Cannes Film Festival 2 weeks ago. So, do I think he's seen episode 3? Yeah. I think it pissed him off. I think he got really mad. Okay. But look, he never had to worry about working with an activist. He never had to worry about working with these woke assholes. Now, he never would have fired Gina Carano. He probably would have told her, you need to be quiet now. Okay? And Gina probably would have been quiet after that, or, because look, her saying what she wanted to say about things isn't the problem. The problem is everybody else around her who was offended by it. And I'm talking Pablo Hidalgo, his crusty wife, and all the rest of these people. Okay, so, the 40-odd pronouns, weirdos who wanted to bully her on a Zoom call. Okay, Leslie Headland led the charge there, by the way. These people, she doesn't care about Star Wars. She's not a fan. I don't care about what she told that reporter in the New York Times. If you believe a word she said, you're an idiot. Okay, she's not a fan. She did everything she could to undermine the prequels. Okay, because, George Lucas is a misogynist and a racist. I assume that's what she thinks. And terribly offended that there weren't any faggots or dykes in the shows, but, that didn't matter. That's not what we were doing. That's not Star Wars, okay? A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, I'm sure there were people like that. But that's not what George is writing. But we're dealing with an activist. She's not a capable, rounded storyteller. Again, I'll tell you what Mazur said to me. I'm at the point where I really don't want any Legends characters in this, or legacy characters, even Plagueis. Keep him out. Don't intermix. Let the story stand and fail on its own. He said the acting was okay, meaning the actors themselves had skill. The script and story was a snore fest. And then, of course, you can go to Chris Gore's review. Okay. This is bad writing. This is bad storytelling. And again, activists are not creatives. Okay. You look at artists back at the turn of the century. They could be socialists, but when they created something, it was beautiful because they were artists. There's so much wrong with this. Okay. Kathleen Kennedy, allowing this to happen, proves what a resentful bitch she is. Okay. Leslie Headland basically going against all the inner universe rules about the Force is mind-bogglingly evil. Okay. The Force is a thread. May and her sister are created by a lesbian witch and carried by another lesbian witch. So they don't need men. And they can manipulate life, create life. And of course, they're oppressed. So this group of creepy women were driven off from wherever they came from. I literally am just shocked at this garbage. But what do you think you're going to get from someone who calls George Lucas a misogynist and implies he's a racist, says, basically without saying it directly, she hates the prequels. She wants to undermine everything he created. Okay. And then the thread thing. The Force is a thread that you have to, push and then the power of 2 or more. That's not the Force at all. That's stupid. And it just proves that a woman who could hire somebody like Charlie Barnett is incapable of understanding anything she's doing. Okay? So, episode 3, you guys are going to absolutely go berserk on it. Okay? I don't even have to see it. I know. And go and watch the Film Threat review on X. It's great. This is Steph signing out. I'll see you around the galaxy.